Welcome to Extension Connection on Super Talk 1270. Thoughtful information and discussion with experts from both Burleigh and Morton County Extension Service offices. Extension Connection provides advice on family nutrition, issues in agriculture, lawn and garden, community leadership, homeowner concerns, and so much more. Live from the Super Talk 1270 studio, this is Extension Connection.
Good morning and welcome to the Extension Connection. You have the Morton County staff here joining you today. We are pre-recording this for the week as we are all out of the office on Wednesday, and so we are pre-recording. If you have any questions regarding our broadcast, you can contact our county extension office at 667-3340. And this morning, it is myself, Carla Mickle, 4-H Youth and Development Agent in Morton County, and Jackie Buckley is with us, the Ag and Natural Resources Extension Agent, and Vanessa Hoynes will be joining us here shortly. So, and of course, we have a very big week to talk about. Lots to talk about here on the radio with National 4-H Week. And I know, Jackie, you've got some items to talk about as well.
Mm-hmm. And happy for National 4-H Week this week. We'll probably start off with that, Carla, and we can visit about that. Since all three of us were very active 4-H members when we were growing up, and we pretty much bleed green, even though we have, and then of course we bleed green for the bison too. Woo! And so yes, we very nice celebrating National 4-H Week this week, and there's lots going on.
Mm-hmm. So I guess to get started with 4-H Week, of course, we celebrate 4-H Week October 4th through the 10th, and kicked off the week visiting a 4-H club yesterday. We did the National Youth Science Day project and really did some celebrating of 4-H. They had cake and celebrated a birthday as well. And so thank you, Rough Riders, for hosting me on Sunday at your 4-H meeting. 4-H in North Dakota, we're proud to say we have almost 6,000 members in 4-H, and in Morton County we have a little over 400 and then 60 volunteers. And so we have a very solid 4-H program here in Morton County. It's very exciting, and really it's the dedication of those individuals involved in the program and our wonderful volunteers and experience that they bring to the youth that it really contributes to the success of the 4-H program in Morton County. 4-H is a global network of youth organizations. There's over 6 million youth involved in the 4-H program, and that is internationally. 4-H is everywhere. I read an article this morning that 4-H is very active over in Africa and over in our European countries as well. And so really 4-H is a little bit of everywhere. So 4-H, of course, our motto is to make the best better, and that truly is something that we as Extension Agency when we're working with youth, we're making kids better and really help improving their skills and using the slogan, learn by doing. A lot of hands-on activities in 4-H and the ability, again, to share our experiences with them so they become better citizens, improve their leadership skills and their communication. So just a lot of different things that 4-H can do for you. 4-H is actually, the organization is administered by the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, which for Extension folk we call NIFA, and then the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA. And one of the strongest programs we have close to us, of course, is 4-H in Canada. And theirs is an independent nonprofit organization. They oversee the operation of branches throughout Canada, 4-H Canada. So, of course, we talk about the 4-H pledge. We pledge our head to clear thinking and heart to greater loyalty, hands to larger service, and our health to better living for our club, community, country, and world. And that's something that 4-Hers take very seriously in helping in their communities and also throughout the state. We have a lot of different activities that they can be involved with and really improve their skills. So do you have anything to add? I can keep going. I'm sorry.
I guess I did a little history work looking when National 4-H Week started, and it actually started prior to World War II. Oh, wow. And so prior to like 1941, and then during the war, it was kind of put on low key, and then after that, it was really started. And actually, when it first National 4-H Week was started, it was in the spring, and then later it got moved to the fall of the year.
And
it makes sense because that's when we're kind of kicking off the new
right,
year.
Absolutely. So, and 4-H actually, originated as a boys and girls club. So it really wasn't even called 4-H initially when it first started. And it was the Boys and Girls Club. And then it changed over to 4-H after experiences that farmers had in Wisconsin with a corn project activity. So shortly after that, then 4-H was born in 1902. So in 1902, it was born in Clark County, Ohio. It's considered one of the births of the 4-H program in the United States. The first 4-H club was called the Tomato Club or the Corn Growing Club. Mr. Erickson of Douglas County, Minnesota, started local agricultural after-school programs and fairs, also in 1902. And the 4-H Clover was developed. And Jackie, you've been to the birthplace of the Clover.
I have.
Yes.
It's in Clarion, Iowa.
Okay.
And there's a little schoolhouse that they have, like, right in town. And then there's a big Clover sign in front of the schoolhouse. When my son lived there, I was able to go there. The school was never open when we were there, so we weren't able to go inside. It's a kind of a museum as of now. But, yes, it's a very nice little quaint town in north central Iowa, and it was nice to visit that site.
Cool. So, and, of course, they had 4-H camps, and one of the first 4-H camps was held in Randolph County, West Virginia. And originally, these camps were for what was referred to as corn clubs, where campers slept in cornfields in tents, only to wake up and work almost entirely each day. Superintendent of Schools G.C. Adams began a boys' corn club in Newton County, Georgia, in 1904. And then the city of Jacksboro, Texas, also stakes claim to having the first forerunner 4-H club in 1910. So there's a little bit of battle of really where the 4-H actually started, but a lot of history there, and really it relates back all to agriculture. Mm-hmm. So
I sure don't think we'd get too many youth if we offered them a camp where they could sleep in the cornfield and work in the cornfield all day. Somehow I think youth have changed just a tad.
Just a little bit. They like our brand new beds up at 4-H camp and all the relaxation that they can do. We have other things to talk about here regarding 4-H. We'll talk a little bit about the 4-H emblem and how the program is delivered in the state of North Dakota. And we will recap some famous 4-Hers and then hear from Vanessa and Jackie. So with that, we will take a short break and be back with the Extension Connection.
Welcome back to the Extension Connection. And before we left you, we were visiting about 4-H, and Carla has some more things to share. Carla?
Well, the official 4-H emblem, and here's an interesting fact, and I share this, I think, every year, but I just find it so interesting, is it's green, of course, with a 4-leaf clover and a white H on each side, or on each leaf, standing for head, heart, hands, and health. And the white and green, of course, are the 4-H colors, and white symbolizes purity, and the green represents growth. And one thing that is really interesting to know about the 4-H clover is that it is among the top 3 protected emblems in the United States, right next to the presidential seal, the Olympic rings, and of course then the 4-H clover. And they're all protected by an act presented by the U.S. Congress. And so that's pretty interesting to know that it ranks up there that high with, and Smokey the Bear rings. How about that? So, but the emblem is really a protected symbol, and it symbolizes a lot with the head, heart, hands, and health. That 4-H, when you see the clover, of course, that it's 4-H. And we're lucky enough in North Dakota and in every state in the United States that we have a land-grant university through North Dakota State University. And the program for 4-H runs through the university system. And so through the extension system, through the land-grant university, 4-H is able to have active membership in every county in North Dakota, as well as throughout the United States with the other land-grant universities. And that was actually something with the land-grant universities overseeing 4-H was enacted quite a while ago in the 1914 land-grant university grant. So again, it's delivered through every county and offers youth opportunities for learning citizenship, leadership skills, and life skills. And we talk about life skills a lot, patience and responsibility and communication skills and teamwork.
Compassion.
Yep. So just a lot of different things that 4-H is able to teach youth and work with. And we have the privilege of working with youth from not only just Morton County, but throughout the state with the many activities that we do. So,
well, and I think too, because we're connected with the Land Grant University, it makes 4-H just that much closer to education and that much tighter to new research and things that are happening. So it's not just events that 4-Hers are involved in. They're actually involved in learning and cutting edge learning in many cases.
Yep. And what's really neat too is that, the friendships that you make with 4-H, you can go on, and there are some universities that have collegiate programs with 4-H, and being able to, meet new kids through their young adults. And, we've seen it, with our own eyes that, kids really make friends for a lifetime. And that's pretty neat that you can go different places and run into people that you've been in 4-H activities with, or maybe 4-H camp. And, you've developed that relationship that, they're now one of your very dear friends. And so very neat that 4-H offers those opportunities.
My kids have many times seen me say hello to somebody that they don't know, and they'll say, well, how do you know them? And I'll have to say,
yeah,
through 4-H.
Yep.
Yeah, we went to this, or we did that together. Or
and you were a 4-H ambassador, so you were an ambassador, I know, with Rick Berg, a former congressman, and many others. You and I have visited about that too. So, but some famous 4-Hers, we have some here locally. Byron Dorgan, former House of Representatives. He was a 4-Her from North Dakota. William Guy, former governor of North Dakota. He was a famous 4-Her. And then Ralph Erikstead, who was a judicial judge, Supreme Court Justice for North Dakota. Higher courts. He was a 4-Her from North Dakota as well, that you might recognize the name. Some other famous 4-Hers, of course, Jennifer Nettles from Sugar Land. She is currently one of our 4-H alumni for National 4-H, and she is out and she represents 4-H at a national level for the entertainment industry, and just a goodwill ambassador for 4-H.
I know she even talks about how 4-H actually helped her get into entertainment.
Oh, cool.
Because in her state they had programs that were about theatrics and getting up and performing, and she was very involved with that, and that was really her beginning of wanting to be up in front of audiences and performing.
Well, that's cool. And then, there's other famous 4-Hers. Of course, I mentioned Jimmy Carter, who's in his 90s, and he's a former president of the United States. And he, unfortunately, has cancer. And I know the 4-H community has rallied around him and giving him support and prayers as he's battling cancer. But Jimmy Carter is a famous 4-Her. Walter Mondale, one of my favorites, Orville Redenbacher, the popcorn guy. You got to love it. So there's a lot of different 4-Hers or folks in business and communications and leadership positions that really got their start in 4-H. And so it's really neat to think about where they started from, and really where youth today have the potential to go. So, and we can't forget our own Morton County famous 4-H alumni, Gwen Sebastian. So she, of course, was a member of a 4-H club out in Hebron as part of Morton County 4-H. And we're excited that she is doing as well as she is for 4-H. So, well, with that, I guess I just want to wish everyone a happy National 4-H Week. And there's times you'll see different 4-H things going on here throughout the county. And I encourage you all to wear green on Friday, or if you have a 4-H shirt that you can wear to support 4-H for the week, we are doing that on Friday. So with that, I'm going to kick it back to Vanessa and Jackie.
Thank you, Carla. And once again, I'd like to remind our audience that we are taping today, and so because none of us could be here on Wednesday. And so if you have any questions about anything that we're talking about, please feel free to call the office at 667-3340 for any questions you might have. I just have a little bit of a snippet before we, Jim will be cueing us here in not too long to be going for a break. And fall temperatures needed to terminate perennial weed growth. We really haven't had a killing frost yet. It's the second week of October, first full week of October, And this is going to push that average way back because usually in September we have had a killing frost. And so there's several weeds that need a certain temperature, and so you producers out there still have time to control many of the perennial weeds that are out there with some fall herbicide applications. Weeds that will be killed at 29 degrees are Russian knapweed, western ragweed, wild rose, and prairie sage. At 22 degrees, the following weeds will be killed: goldenrod, stinging nettle, floodman thistle, broadleaf plantain, yellow toadflax, and western snowberry at 17 degrees. The following weeds have a killing frost at 17 degrees, and so that's really chilly. Perennial sow thistle, absinthe wormwood, field bindweed, leafy spurge, spotted knapweed, catnip, quackgrass, dandelion, wavy leaf thistle, western yarrow, fringe sage, hoary cress, and Canada thistle. And so if you have questions about any of those weeds and the temperatures, feel free to call our office. Jim is giving us the cue that we need to go to the break, and the Morton County staff will be back with the Extension Connection after the break. Welcome back to the Extension Connection. I'm going to visit with you about some timely topics in North Dakota for your yards and gardens. We want to get that garden debris cleaned, remove and deeply bury any diseased plants or fruits in the garden. This will reduce the likelihood of infection next year. You also can plant your garlic now. Divide cloves and set 4 to 6 inches apart. Cover with about 2 inches of soil and irrigate. Cover with 4 inches of straw in November. Hardneck varieties are the most hardy for North Dakota. You can harvest your winter squash. Light frosts will not harm the fruit, and so we haven't had a frost yet, so they are perfectly safe out in the garden, and we're seeing lots of pumpkins out there as well this time of the year. Light frost will not harm the fruit, but harvest before a killing frost. For pumpkins, that's 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Leave a few inches of stem attached to the fruit itself. Except for acorns, cure in a warm 80-degree spot for about 10 days for long-term storage. Frosty apples, we haven't really had a frost. Apples on trees can tolerate temps approaching 25 degrees Fahrenheit, especially if there's a lot of leaf material on the plants, on your trees. And of course, not very many people have a lot of apples this year because of the late frost we had last spring. If they happen to freeze, wait to thaw before you pick them and then use promptly. Storing apples. Apples store best in a cool, near 32 degrees Fahrenheit, in a humid environment, about 90%, and they like a dark place. A refrigerator is best, but a cool root cellar or garage is acceptable. If refrigerated, store in perforated plastic bags to increase the humidity. A new berry patch in mind? Now is the best time of the year to prepare land for next year's garden for strawberry patch. Spray Roundup on a turf or a weedy area. Cultivate the land in 2 weeks, and you'll be ready for spring. Are you going to overwinter those geraniums? Dig your geraniums if you don't have them in pots into 6 to 8 inch pots. Cut them back to 1/3 the height to keep plants compact and bushy. Set near a bright sunny window. Cool temperatures in the 60s are best, and then you want to water them sparingly. It's now time that you can sure go out and plant those tulip bulbs, daffodils. The bigger the bulbs, the better. Small bargain bulbs might not bloom. Plant in clumps of 6 or more bulbs for impact. Avoid wet spots. Add slow-release bulb fertilizer, irrigate, and then mulch in mid-November. And you want to think about starting to get out there and dig those non-hardy bulbs like gladiola, the cannas, some of those you want. And if you have some begonias, you want to get those out. After frost, cut gladiola stalks to the ground, dahlia stalks to 3 inches, and canna stalks to about 6 inches. Dig bulbs, shake off the soil, dry bulbs for a week in the garage. Brush off remaining soil, trim and store in sand or peat moss at 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And so those are some of the things that are going on as far as getting that garden ready. You'll also still have time to do that last mowing and also maybe do some last minute fertilizing if you still would like. And then if you it still really isn't cold enough to do some dormant seeding, if you have some lawn areas that you want to maybe reseed, or maybe you're starting a new lawn, our soil temperatures are still way above 50 degrees, and so they would still germinate, the grass seed would still germinate, and so we want to consider not planting anything for dormant seeding as of yet.
I suppose homeowners could look at those weeds that they want to get rid of now too, because we haven't had that killing frost you talked about.
Right, and you know, I talked about those perennial weeds, and now is the time. We're going to still have some 60-degree days, and if you have some Weed Be Gone product or 2,4-D, you can get out there and make that application now. Make sure that you use a surfactant to make sure that that chemical is absorbed into the plant better. The cool temperatures is what triggers the weeds to start storing nutrients for the winter, and so now is an excellent time to try and control them. You also can kill some of those dandelions that have started from seed in your lawn. There's still little plants there, and they'll be easy to kill in the fall of year as compared to in the spring. And some of us don't get after that before everybody gets their gardens in.
And they take over.
Yes, they do, and they can be very weedy. And so that's some of the things that are going on. Many producers are out combining, and I'd like to remind people or producers to watch for moisture and when you're drying or storing grain. The following grain storage tips are if corn is to be stored for a year or less, it should be dried to a moisture of content of 14 to 15%. If it is to be stored for more than a year, it should be dried to 13%. If corn is of poor quality, those numbers should be reduced by 1 percentage point. Many of the producers are already combining or have finished combining your soybeans. Soybeans should be dried to a moisture content of 13% if they will be stored for 6 months, 12% for a year, and 11% for more than a year. As with corn, if beans are especially poor quality, these numbers should be reduced by a percentage point. Cleaning grain dryers at least once a week during aeration to avoid buildup of trash and debris, which can reduce dryer performance and cause a fire. He also said farmers should never work alone or in or around a grain bin, and make sure you're tied off if you're going to go inside that bin. Remember safety procedures and be cautious and avoid hurrying. Don't let the extra demands of a challenging harvest season push you into a dangerous situation. And so make sure that you remember that as well. I have a little bit more on bulbs. And so when we talk about bulbs and planting them, we want to make sure the bulbs do best in lighter soil. Avoid planting them where water is likely to stand at any time of the year. If soil needs improvement, generous amounts of peat moss worked into a planting bed about 12 inches deep will result in good bulb response. And so Jim is cueing us here that we're going to need to go to a break, and we'll be back with the Morton County staff and the Extension Connection in just a few minutes. Welcome back to the Extension Connection. We have the Morton County staff here today, and we are taping our program. because of scheduling conflicts on Wednesday. And I'm going to kick it over to Vanessa, and she's got some family and consumer science information for you.
Yeah, I have some upcoming programs. Actually, I'm going to share some programs that Amber Schwab, our Parent Resource Center coordinator, works with. First of all, the Basic Beginnings class, and I think she has talked about this before, but this is really for anybody who is expecting a baby, has a new baby, or maybe hasn't had a baby in the house for a long time and wants to refresh on some of those things in basic care of baby. They're going to be talking about bonding and attachment, safety issues, health, sleep, feeding, and also the development of that infant to a toddler. And I think it's appropriate for someone, even if you have toddlers and you'd like to come, it would still be appropriate for you. They're going to be meeting Wednesday nights starting October 14th, and it will be meeting for 5 weeks in a row. And so if you're interested in that, please give Amber a call at 667-3342. She also has Conscious Discipline, 10 Steps to Positive Discipline, that's coming up, and this is being hosted at Fort Lincoln Elementary here in Mandan. This one is also a series, and it is meeting on Thursday evenings, starting this week, actually tomorrow night on October 8th, and that's from 6:30 to 8. The Conscious Discipline program is actually a program that Fort Lincoln Elementary and other elementary schools in the community have kind of looked at as their focus and their way of not only dealing with behavior in the classroom, but also encouraging parents to use the same type of program to deal with behavior at home. And so being on the same page is always a good opportunity. It's always better for the kids if they know what to expect when they know they've crossed the line and done something that they shouldn't have. And so consider calling us to register for that series. Again, that's Thursday nights beginning on October 8th. And then finally, Parents Forever is a class that's a one-night class coming up on Monday, November 2nd from 5:30 to 9:30. And Parents Forever is a class that is offered for anybody who is trying to co-parent a child. It can be somebody who has been divorced. It can be somebody who perhaps you've never been married to the other parent, but you're still trying to work together to parent your child. And this is an opportunity to really to discuss some of the development issues that go along with the conflict that maybe has arisen in your relationship, and how to move your child through that situation and come out on the end stronger and healthier, and be able to, both of you, support your child in that relationship. And again, that's on Monday, November 2nd. And if you're interested in registering for that one, there is a fee, $55 per person. And if you come as a couple, there is a little bit of a price break for that. And so please call Amber at 667-3342 if you're interested in registering for that class. So I also have some classes coming up in November. Getting ready for November is actually Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and in keeping with that whole idea, I'm partnering with some other agencies to offer Put On Your Thinking Cap. And so this is a 4-part educational series where we will discuss what to expect when talking with your doctor about memory loss. We're going to talk about learning more effective communication skills and how to better manage your stress. And then finally, we'll talk about nourishing your brain and what are some things that we can eat nutritionally that can help our brain, and then also what are some activities that we can do to keep our brain healthy and be active. These sessions are going to be held on Mondays throughout November. Starting with November 2nd will be the discussions with your doctor, and this is going to be led by Dr. Ryan Clausen from St. A's. The second week will be November 9th, Monday, November 9th again, and these are all from 1 to 2 p.m., and that will be managing your stress. And Chandra Zeman-Belinsky from NDSU Extension in Burleigh County is going to be offering that presentation. The third week will be focusing on effective communication strategies, and this will be presented by Nikki Heinert from the Alzheimer's Association. And then the fourth and final week will be nourishing your brain, and that's going to be myself leading that presentation. And as a part of that, in order to nourish your brain, of course, we also will be serving lunch. And so you do need to pre-register. We do have limited seating, and so the earlier you can register, the better. And to register, please call 530-7700. So 530-7700 to register for one or all of those sessions. And we do have great door prizes that we'll be offering each week, along with a grand prize for anybody who has attended all 4 sessions. And so we invite you to consider that. And this is being sponsored by CHI St. A's, NDSU Extension, Edgewood here in Mandan, Alzheimer's Association, and Northland PACE. And so we're all coming together to help bring you some information about keeping your brain healthy during that month of recognizing our brain health in November. And then finally, I just thought I'd bring a tip with the cool temperatures we have in fall. Onions are plentiful out there, and so sometimes it's kind of nice to have some tips about using those onions to add flavor to our foods. And so, do onions make you cry when you're cutting them, ladies?
Yes.
Yes. Some tips, if they make you cry, is to chill that onion in the freezer for about 10 minutes before you cut it. That can be one way. And then in addition to that, when you're cutting your onion, make sure that you cut off the top and then peel the outer layers down, leaving that root end intact. Because most of the sulfur, which is the sulfur compound, is what irritates our eyes. Most of that sulfur is found in that root. And so if you can leave that root intact for as long as you can throughout that cutting process and then be able to throw that away, that would be the best way to keep yourself from crying. And then when you're all done cutting things up, the best way to clean up your hands to get that onion smell off is to rub them with lemon juice. And so with that tip, we're going to probably be closing today for the Extension Connection. Don't forget to wear green on Friday. This is National 4-H Week, and we'll be celebrating 4-H all week, but especially on Friday with wearing green. And so with that, we'll sign off, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.